Hey guys, it's Gabriel, Filipinos in the Six North American Dream Tour with Georgia Filipino Leadership Alumni Network, also called as FLAN, the co-founders Tiffany and James. Tiffany and James, thank you so much for joining us for this interview today. Can you elaborate more for the audience what you guys are all about?
Yeah, so we are the Georgia Filipino Leadership Alumni Network, and essentially we are bridging the gaps between post-collegiate Filipinos who graduated here in Georgia from universities here, especially those who participate in Filipino student associations, to be connected to the greater Filipino community, especially the established Filipino orgs that have been here for years.
For someone new to FLAN, how would you describe what you do and why it matters?
For me, FLAN is a space where students from FSA or people who have participated in FSA in the past can continue that sense of Filipino community amongst people their age, as well as people who haven't been in FSA or who would like to have participated in FSA, looking for community and outlet, whether that's through community outreach or that's growth in their professional development, things like that.
You also like to think about it being kind of a pipeline for Filipinos who are just wanting to continue to practice like what it's like to be Filipino American, especially in the South. We don't really have a lot of opportunities to express ourselves as authentic as Filipino because there's not a lot of spaces built for young folks like us. And typically it's just because we do have these older associations, they try to recruit us, but there's a huge generational gap that comes with that. And that really deters us from, joining those spaces because, some folks think about these titos and titas like their parents. And so to be in a space that reminds them of their family, they might have trauma that comes behind that. And so being in FLAN, or the idea of FLAN, is to be around folks that are similar to you, your age, and may have like certain outlets that you might be interested in, aside from, for example, all of us come from different job backgrounds, and maybe they're looking to change careers and they know somebody in that industry. We want to make sure that our community has access to those opportunities without the idea of masking ourselves as like a networking type of space. It's more of like your community is a community. You shouldn't have a mask when it comes to knowing somebody in your community. Because the idea of being Filipino is that you're supporting each other, practicing the idea of kapwa, basically, supporting each other because we both come from the same community.
What moment inspired the official launch of FLAN?
For me, it was probably different for everybody, but for me, there was an event here that we had from FONS, which is the Filipino American National Historical Society.
Yeah.
And they had an event where it was called Cultivating Kapwa. They invited food vendors, they invited people from the national level of FONS to come and speak to the general Filipino community here. When I attended that event, I was already graduated from college and I went with my sister. It was very empowering because I saw people that were much older than me, people that were younger than me, still participating in this Filipino community.
I actually hosted a panel on this symposium, which is uniting all the different FSAs from different universities, because we never see them in the same space. So when I was in college in 2018, there was only two FSAs. It was UGA, University of Georgia, and then the ATL FSA, which is a conglomerate of Emory, Georgia Tech, Georgia State, because they didn't have enough Filipino members to create their own individual universities. Around that time, there was 5 now. Because the growth of the Filipino community kind of showed up in these different FSAs. I invited folks from both students and alumni to come be a part of this first time ever panel where they all just talk about their experience of being Filipino American. What is it like to run an FSA, especially for those who founded their FSAs for the first time? And what is their dreams as a group of, young Filipinos in the Georgia space for the community as, future leaders passing the baton to them as, future advocates and the people of the diaspora keeping our culture alive in the South. So it was really kind of amazing. Actually, I felt really bad for other folks that were also doing presentations because the format of the conference is like you choose this panel or you choose the other panel to go, and everybody decided to go to the youth panel. So it was just amazing to see that there was a lot of support from our community and seeing, a group of young folks that are keeping the culture alive in the diaspora. James was actually in the audience watching it, and You can see pictures and you can spot him and his sister Nikki, and then me on the other side alongside Gerald, who was also
Another co-founder.
co-founder of FLAN, and he was alumni representative because he was the president of KSU, Kennesaw State University's FSA. That was kind of like the first time we've seen this northern university, like outside of like Atlanta, to have their own FSA. And so that just basically got us like intertwined in our fate and creating FLAN.
I should add that day we weren't thinking about FLAN. We were just meeting up and, conversating for the first time. It was only until we would continuously run into each other at other events. So there was another event that I remember where it was the Georgia FSA Summit. It was the second one, their second annual one. That was when we finally officially created the idea of FLAN, where we were discussing like, hey, it'd be great if we could have FSA, but continue on what FSA started. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of students, when they finish college, they probably still end up in Georgia. There are others that leave this community, but there are a lot of them that still stay in this area and don't really have that same sense of Filipino community that they had when they were in college. So that's what we hope to provide at FLAN.
And what's crazy, when you mentioned the summit, Danielle, who was a part of that panel I was talking about, she's the one who started the summit because she was inspired about the different schools that were together for the first time. But her actual item was creating a space where we're all able to share basically what other universities does for the FSA, so they can also learn and take it back to their own FSAs and their campus. And so it's just been a continuous domino effect of like this one specific funds symposium that created space for all of us intergenerational wise to basically be inspired. Other folks other than like us, we have Danielle, who started the summit, and that brought in all these different students during, February, November. They had 2 different days, and they just basically talked about advocacy in the Philippines, advocacy in Georgia, teaching each other how to do traditional dances, because some FSAs don't even have traditional dance as like a part of their programming. And so, keeping the culture alive because they're doing it together was kind of been what is the theme of why all this started to fall into place, because we didn't have a space, but it really takes all of us to be inspired and making sure that our community is seen, and it really takes making space.
How have pivotal moments like the Stop Asian Hate movement shaped your mission?
I've been behind the scenes on a lot of the Stop Asian Hate. So I used to work for an organization that was the largest refugee immigrant nonprofit in the Southeast, and we were kind of pivotal when it came to the Atlanta shootings that happened in 2021, and that killed a lot of folks, especially Asian women. And that was basically the catalyst of the Stop Asian Hate movement to happen here. We've been trying to do listening sessions and everything, but it didn't really become what it is until the shootings. And that's when, we had people, funding all these different organizations, like my old organization, all these different folks, leaders now becoming nonprofits because they got funded to actually do the things that they wanted to do. Like, for example, we don't even have K-12 Asian history being taught in the curriculum here in public schools, and that's still a constant fight that we have today. But we have Asian American Voices for Education that came out of that, and they're our fiscal sponsor. Even the symposium, the Stop Asian Hate Fund that we got from everybody donating to these organizations, I helped funnel the funds to funds because they wanted to create this symposium. When we started FLAN this year, I was nominated for this fellowship called the Asian American Women's Political Initiative, which is based in Boston. They were looking for people that have these social change projects that it needs funding, basically. And they were searching for folks in 3 different states, so Georgia, Pennsylvania, Boston. I was actually one of them chosen, and my social change project was obviously FLAN. And the reason why OPI was created, it was because of the Stop Asian Hate, because of the Atlanta shootings. That's why they chose Georgia, because we were the margin of victory when it came to the 2020 elections. Asian voters were very powerful here.
Wow.
Yeah, during the elections. And so their investment into Georgia and their investment in us is the reason why we exist today. And that's because people don't see as Asians as powerful leaders or advocates. If you know the history of Filipino Americans, Larry Leong is a huge inspiration for me. As a union leader, I'm also a union organizer. My personal story is that I want to bring resources from these places that have it, but we don't have it here, and making sure that people know about these opportunities that are created. for students, for young folks. I think about like PhilPro, these internships that are made for API folks, but they never invest in students in the South. And so you always see an underrepresentation of folks in these spaces that are not from here, not Georgian.
Adding to that, what challenges do Filipinos in Georgia face that people in other states might not see?
I would say perhaps accessibility. Right now we have pockets in Georgia of Filipino communities. We don't have like one central point where everybody's at, but it's really thanks to the culture, the people that open up restaurants, that continuously have events in different parts of Georgia that keep the conversation and keep community alive as well.
What's your message to young Filipino professionals who want to stay connected after college?
Come to FLAN. But we try to make it easy, or we try to introduce people. We're trying to introduce people to FLAN through the Philgrad program.
For Philgrad or Filipino graduation, it's like a tradition in Filipino American university spaces in the West.
Uh-huh.
So they have in Hawaii, they have in California schools, but it's usually hosted by their FSA. So like students run it and their own individual universities. But we don't have that much population when it comes to graduating Filipino seniors in these universities. And so we combined it with whoever's in each different universities that is senior that's graduating to come to this space so we can celebrate them, also give them a stole that they can wear to be proud of their Filipino heritage with the Filipino flag.
Wow.
So they can walk across the stage with the flag on them. But what was interesting that we twisted a little bit through FLAN, we thought it was weird that the students did it and the original idea of it. But I'm like, that's literally when Filipino Culture Night is happening. You have graduation, you have finals, like where do you have time to do that? And so we're like, well, we're outside of college, we don't have the same like capacity as a student, and it would be nice to have them be welcomed by the community outside of their school to know what other opportunities are available to them. And he also invited different organizations, for example, Asian Americans Advancing Justice funds come in, and different nonprofits that have opportunities like volunteering, or some of them even have job openings, to let them know that these are things you can join after when you go graduate. And I think I want to also share, it was very nice to have different generations of people to be in the same space. I think one moment that almost made me cry was when Tita Didi, she's a Lola, she gave the stole to her grandson.
Very touching.
Yeah, and she just like put it on his neck, and people just was like, oh, it was so touching. But everybody who was graduating chose somebody of significance, special to them, to give them the stole, to make it a really touching moment for them.
How can other states replicate what you've built here?
I think it's a matter of like just, I keep repeating this with space, like make space. You don't know who out there is needing people like us or wants to be more a part of their community. And so in order to make space, you also have to make the effort to go into the community and present yourself and be like, I'm here, let's do this together, essentially. And so I think that's what we kind of did, because we kind of met each other in random Filipino spaces. And since we kept having those interactions, like that's how we are sitting here today.
Yeah.
Basically.
Eventually we would just randomly meet up every now and then, just be like, oh, hey, do you want to get dinner? And then sometimes the other members would be there. So we would just get dinner and then talk about the idea again. There are a lot of older Filipino organizations that have funding, that have a lot of events throughout the year. But something that we usually hear from our attendants in those Filipino events, they'll ask us, where are the young people? What are they doing? Where are they going to replace us?
First word that comes to mind when you hear Filipino in the South.
I don't know. I think about Esterita, because like when you think about the South, you think about the food.
Yeah.
And barbecue is such a integral part of, food culture here, especially, the Black community. And I just think about barbecue skewers, honestly.
And we have really good barbecue, Filipino barbecue.
Yeah.
What's one Filipino value that has guided you in life?
Bayanihan?
Yeah, I was actually going to say the same thing.
Bayanihan.
Yeah, bayanihan, yeah.
Tell us why bayanihan.
Like all of us have a similar thread of, this pride when it comes to Filipino-ness. And I guess the idea of FLAN is basically based on that value, because there is an ecosystem of Filipinos that live here. We're all just in their separate, bubbles, and we want to make that connection bridge. So all the different identities and experiences that us here in Atlanta, us here in Georgia, can explore and be a part of.
I would say for me, bayanihan is giving back as much as possible. Prior to FLAN, even when I was in, or even outside of FSA, I would participate in the Filipino events. Sometimes there would be like, during October, they have sari-sari.
The
Sari market.
Yeah.
And there'd be a lot of opportunities for me to meet other Filipinos. And that's how I've made a lot of friends, not just from FSA, but like from outside FSA. It's been great because I've been getting to meet all different types of Filipinos that were born here or that were born back home in the Philippines in different parts. It's just also, in its own way, it's empowering.
Favorite Filipino dessert?
Flan.
Halo halo,
Right.
because I can't pick one thing, so
Yeah, it's so hard.
everything,
Yeah, that's so many.
everything in halo halo.
No, it's really funny though. Like when I think of fun,
Yeah.
like fun is such a good branding because you don't know how many times titas that come to our like events, they'll just straight up make us fun for free.
One sentence to inspire the next generation of Fil-Ams in Georgia.
Wag matangkot.
Wag matakot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, don't be afraid.
Yes, yeah. Mine would be to stay active. You know, even if it's within your little friend group, your friend group, even if you have like maybe 2 or 3 other Filipino friends. For me, that was probably the most important thing, which is why I'm here now with FLAN, is because, you know, I wanted to stay active in our community.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for showing up to our Filipinos in the 6 North American Dream Tour with James and Tiffany from FLAN.